The snowpack this year out west was not what people thought it was going to be. So there are a lot of issues regarding water supply, especially in the western United States with their system of water law prior appropriation. Apparently we've developed a new term. We're calling things now extreme precipitation instead of storm events. But there are some cases that are evolving in terms of sea level rise and predicting the impact on the infrastructure of something lesser than a named storm. Insurance liability coverage, I talked about that in the Steadfast case, but that is going to become an issue that you're really going to see a lot of, because the insurance industry has been doing a lot of legwork and market analysis on what their exposure is going to be, especially in places like Florida. The solutions that we have to climate change in terms of armoring, moving people away from sea level rise, the response and rebuilding, and a very, very interesting issue is immigration and refugee issues. When people start moving and relocating from certain places, from one place to another, what is the relationship? How open and willing is that particular geographic area going to be to taking in people that are displaced, like the Kivalina case? Where are those people going to go? And is the impact on the community going to be such that the community doesn't want more people moving into it? What's also happening at the federal level is, because the Obama administration is so frustrated with Congress right now in terms of not being able to pass meaningful legislation, the president is really on the record publicly saying he is going to use the full powers of the executive branch in terms of issuing executive orders, making sure that federal agencies are becoming prepared. Federal agencies are now required to adopt sustainability, and certain agencies are required to adopt climate change plans. The one branch of the government that is really ahead of the curve, believe it or not, is the military. And they're looking at climate change and sea level rise issues in conjunction with their facilities, with their operations, and when they deploy into another country, what is their energy use? Like the Department of Defense is going solar and going to biodiesel in a big, big way, because they also realize that it's a cost-saving issue. We have more climate change legislation predicted. It's uncertain what the new appointees to the Environmental Protection Agency and Department of Energy are going to be like. And another thing that the president is really strident on is saying, look, we're the federal government. You know, we can't require local governments to plan for this stuff. But what we can do is incentivize and disincentivize certain behaviors. But the statements that I've heard in some of the publications and news releases are really trying to start focusing on and engaging the local level, which is interesting. Another issue that I think is going to be evolving is the Restore Act. The Restore Act is post BP oil spill. It was passed in conjunction with MAP 21, the big transportation bill last year. The Restore Act has 11 project purposes associated with it that you can use Clean Water Act penalties. Some of that money can be used for coastal conservation plans, planning assistance. You'll even find community resiliency in the Restore Act. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the coastal communities, especially the 23 counties in Florida, queue up in terms of projects. They're now in the process of putting together multi-year plans with how they're going to spend their BP money. So it will be interesting to see if some of that money is used for land acquisition to serve as a passive climate change and adaptation barrier of sorts, or start planning for those issues. And then finally, property assessed clean energy. It's a program that a lot of local governments are looking at in terms of primarily dealing with mitigation of greenhouse gas emissions through providing financing for energy efficiency and renewable energy. The thing that I think is interesting about a PACE program is that Florida's law is unique in that it allows wind resistance improvements to be financed through the program. And I think that is a tool that local governments can use for property owners to make their properties more resilient to climate change with wind resistance